Hey everyone, welcome to the Marketer.co podcast, where we break down the strategies, successes, and epic fails from the world of marketing, business, and creativity. I'm your host, Dallin Need, and today we've got a fascinating story about a company that didn't just ride the viral marketing wave, they practically created it. We're talking about Mekanism, a digital media production company that took the advertising world by storm by making content that was so shareable you couldn't escape it and didn't want to. Think about those wild Axe commercials, Microsoft's big budget stunts, or Toyota's latest viral hits. Mekanism was behind all of that. But here's the kicker. As they were growing like wildfire, they faced a tough decision. Do they double down on what made them famous, or do they evolve into a full-service ad agency and risk losing their viral touch? Today, we're diving into their journey, the strategic decisions they had to make, and what happened when they chose a path that could have either made them or broken them. Spoiler alert, it's a wild ride. So, stick around, because this is a story of entrepreneurial grit, creativity, and of course, viral marketing. Let's get into it. All right, let's start by meeting the key players who made this whole viral magic happen. At the heart of Mekanism is Jason Harris, the founder and CEO. Jason was the kind of guy who didn't just follow trends, he created them. He had this laser focus on viral content that could cut through all the noise in traditional advertising. While other ad agencies were still figuring out how to send an email that didn't go straight to the spam folder, Jason was out there trying to figure out how to make people want to share ads with their friends. Now let's talk about the real heroes of the story, the creative team, affectionately known as the Mekanists. These were the minds behind the campaigns that would make you stop mid-scroll and say, "What did I just watch?" The team was packed with those young, scrappy creatives who lived and breathed digital culture. They weren't tied down by conventional ad rules. Instead, they were obsessed with pushing boundaries and making things go viral. And yes, that often meant embracing the ridiculous and the risky. The more outrageous, the better. Now, every story needs a villain, right? In this case, the traditional ad agencies that were stuck in their old school ways served as the antagonist. Picture this, a room full of older, more conservative folks in suits, poring over focus group reports and discussing 30-second TV spots, while Jason and the Mekanists were sitting in their cubicles brainstorming ideas to break the internet. It was a clash of ideologies, the old guard versus the new age of advertising. And let me tell you, the old guard wasn't always on board with what Mekanism was doing. The whole viral marketing concept sounded a little too, well, unpredictable for those used to the safe, tested strategies of TV, print, and billboards. But that's what made the whole story so fascinating. On one side, you had the corporate buttoned-up ad agencies, and on the other, you had this scrappy little digital media company willing to take risks, experiment, and embrace the chaos of the internet. And then, of course, there's the market pressure. As Mekanism started gaining traction, they had to face an existential question. Should they double down on viral marketing or go bigger and become a full-service ad agency? The temptation was real. They were good at what they did. Viral content was their bread and butter. But now, there was this pressure to do more. Was it time to diversify into TV, print, and online media? Or would that risk diluting their entire identity as the viral kings of the marketing world? The thing is, the decision wasn't as simple as it seemed. Expanding into traditional media could mean more clients, more revenue, and more opportunities to grow. But it also meant giving up what made them special, the bold, unpredictable, and often chaotic nature of viral marketing. So, what did they do? Did they take the leap into becoming a full-service agency? Or did they keep their focus on what they were doing best? Well, we're going to dive into that next. But first, let's take a closer look at how viral marketing was changing the game for Mekanism and their clients. All right, now that we know who's who, let's talk about what really made Mekanism stand out in the crowded ad world, viral marketing. At its core, viral marketing is about creating content that spreads like wildfire. Think of those videos, memes, or ad campaigns that everyone seems to share, the ones that pop up in your Facebook feed, get texted to your friends, and are even mentioned at the coffee shop. Mekanism was a master at this, crafting content that wasn't just about selling a product, it was about making people feel something, and then making them want to share that feeling. Whether it was a hilarious, out-of-left-field commercial or a shocking boundary-pushing stunt, their content grabbed attention and got people talking. Here's the kicker. Viral marketing had a huge upside for advertisers. It was cheap, it was fast, and it didn't require millions of dollars in ad spend to make an impact. In fact, word of mouth was the name of the game. People trusted their friends and family more than they trusted a flashy TV ad, and with viral content, it was all about getting that organic buzz. For a company like Mekanism, that meant high-impact campaigns without the need for a massive budget. They could create something that could go viral on YouTube, Facebook, or Twitter, and bam, the world was talking about their client's brand. But there were some challenges. One of the biggest pros of viral marketing was its potential for scale. A single well-crafted campaign could reach millions of people in a matter of days. Think back to that Axe commercial with the guy surrounded by beautiful women. It didn't just go viral because it was funny. It tapped into the emotional trigger of desire and, well, fantasy. People didn't just watch it, they talked about it. And that's how Mechanism started catching the eye of major brands like Microsoft, Toyota, and eBay, companies that were willing to trust a small, scrappy team with their marketing needs because Mechanism was proving time and time again that they knew how to make waves. But let's be honest, viral marketing wasn't all sunshine and rainbows. The downside was that you couldn't really predict what would go viral. It was like throwing spaghetti at the wall and hoping it stuck. There were campaigns that bombed and no one saw it coming. Sometimes the message got lost, or worse, the campaign could backfire completely. You could create an amazing video that you thought would break the internet, but if it didn't resonate with the audience or if it felt too forced, it could go down in flames. Still, the upside was undeniable. Mechanism was tapping into the zeitgeist, the pulse of digital culture. They were on the cutting edge of this new way of advertising, and their success quickly became a textbook case of how to leverage the power of the internet to engage consumers in a way that was both innovative and cost-effective. And yet, despite the momentum, they faced the all-important question that every business with success asks: do we stay in our lane or do we go bigger? Jason Harris and the Mechanists were feeling the pressure to grow. The company was scaling quickly, and with their success in viral marketing, they began to get the attention of bigger clients who wanted more. Traditional advertising firms weren't happy with this disruption. The more Mechanism succeeded in their niche, the more traditional agencies felt threatened. They were being pushed out of their comfort zone. Some even mocked the notion of viral marketing, dismissing it as a fad. But Mechanism wasn't just making a buzz for fun. They were using the psychology of the internet to engage audiences in ways traditional media couldn't. So, let's break it down. The pros of staying focused on viral marketing included speed. You could launch something quickly and start seeing results right away. Cost effectiveness. Compared to traditional media, it was a steal to produce content that had the potential to reach millions. Engagement. People didn't just see the ad, they interacted with it, shared it, and became part of the conversation. Innovation. It was cutting edge, and Mechanism was leading the charge. But the cons were equally hard to ignore. Unpredictability. You could hit it big, or you could completely fail. Short shelf life. Viral campaigns by nature are short-lived. Once it's been seen, it's often done. Reputation risk. If something went wrong, it could have a big backlash and ruin the brand's image. Jason Harris had to ask himself, do we stick with this, or do we go bigger? Should we get into the traditional advertising space and risk losing our edge, or do we ride the viral wave until it crashes? Now that we've seen how viral marketing put Mechanism on the map, let's talk about the big decision they had to make. Should they evolve into a full-service ad agency, or stick with their viral marketing roots? You see, as Mechanism's popularity grew, so did the opportunities. Big-name clients like Microsoft, Toyota, and Axe were knocking on their door, eager to tap into the viral magic that Mechanism had perfected. But here's the thing, those big companies didn't just want viral campaigns, they wanted everything. TV spots, print ads, digital media, the whole shebang. Now, let's be real. The allure of becoming a full-service agency was huge. More clients, more revenue, and the chance to scale into something much bigger. Mechanism was already producing viral campaigns that were changing the way brands interacted with consumers, so why not leverage that momentum and diversify into traditional media? But here's where things get interesting. Jason Harris, the CEO, had to weigh the pros and cons of expansion. On one hand, becoming a full-service agency meant they could dominate the entire advertising landscape. They could become the one-stop shop for companies looking for everything from print ads to viral content. It was tempting. Really tempting. They'd be able to attract bigger budgets, tackle larger projects, and maybe even cement their place as the go-to agency in the advertising world. But then, there was the other side of the coin, the risk. By expanding beyond viral marketing, they could lose what made them unique in the first place. Viral marketing wasn't just a service to them, it was their identity. The reason they had grown so fast was because they weren't just another agency doing the same old stuff. They were bold, creative, and unpredictable. They took risks that other agencies wouldn't dare. But diving into traditional advertising meant following in the footsteps of those same conservative agencies that they had been outpacing. And let's be honest, traditional advertising was safe, predictable, and, well, kind of boring. The same old formulas, 30-second spots, focus groups, billboards. Jason had to ask himself, if we expand into that space, are we just becoming another run-of-the-mill agency, or will we still have the freedom to innovate and take risks like we've been doing with viral marketing? Here's the kicker. Mechanism's leadership wasn't just worried about losing their edge. There was also a cultural factor at play. The team at Mekanism was made up of young, energetic creatives who thrived in an environment where they could experiment. If they suddenly started doing traditional TV and print campaigns, would they still have the freedom to push boundaries and create unconventional content? And then, there were the internal pressures. The team was growing fast, and so were the demands. To keep the lights on and grow the company, they needed more than just viral content. They needed stability, which could come from being a full-service agency. But could they keep that same spark if they went that route? Or would they become just another agency cranking out predictable ads? So, what did they decide? Jason and his team ultimately chose to stay true to their roots. They doubled down on viral marketing and decided to stay focused on what they did best, creating content that people couldn't help but share. They didn't give in to the pressure to expand into traditional media, even though the lure of the larger, steadier revenue stream was there. Instead, they continued innovating in the space that made them famous and found new ways to push the envelope in digital media. In the end, Mekanism didn't evolve into a full-service agency. They remained a powerhouse in viral marketing. But they did adapt. They refined their process, improved their technology, and expanded into new digital platforms to keep the viral fire burning. They didn't just play it safe, they embraced the chaos of the internet and kept creating content that went viral. And you know what? It worked. Mekanism's decision to stay niche instead of going mainstream paid off in the long run. They became the go-to agency for digital-first campaigns, and their expertise in viral marketing was something that traditional agencies could never replicate. So, what's the lesson here? Sometimes the best decision isn't to expand and diversify. Sometimes it's about doubling down on your strengths. Mekanism could have easily fallen into the trap of becoming another cookie-cutter ad agency, but instead, they stuck to their guns, kept their unique value, and built a brand around their expertise. Alright, so we know that Mekanism made the bold choice to stay focused on viral marketing, sticking to their niche and not jumping into the world of full-service advertising. But what happened after that big decision? Did they end up regretting it? Or did they prove that sometimes staying in your lane is the best move you can make? Let's talk about the fallout of that decision. As you might expect, not everyone was thrilled with Mekanism's choice to stick to their niche. There were doubts. Even Jason Harris himself admitted that it wasn't an easy decision. The pressure to expand was real. Traditional agencies were ramping up their digital efforts, and it felt like everyone was either jumping on the viral bandwagon or folding it into a more traditional advertising model. And yes, there were some growing pains. In the short term, not diversifying into traditional media meant they were turning away potential clients who wanted more than just viral content. Big-name advertisers wanted a one-stop-shop agency that could handle everything. Mekanism wasn't it. This left them with a narrow focus, which, in the world of advertising, can feel a little like being the little fish in a giant pond. But here's the thing. While others were scrambling to copy Mekanism's success, they refined their niche. They didn't just stick with viral marketing, they started redefining it. They expanded into newer platforms, embraced even riskier creative, and took their data-driven approach to viral marketing to a whole new level. They began looking not just at what went viral, but why it went viral. The insights they gathered helped them better predict and create viral campaigns that would get results. And that was the magic. They had the intelligence to back up their gut instincts, and that's where their real competitive edge lay. And here's where it gets really interesting. The big agencies? Well, they didn't quite get it. They had the infrastructure, the budgets, and the clients, but they didn't have the speed or the creative freedom that Mekanism had. Those traditional agencies were starting to realize they were getting outpaced by the smaller, more nimble firms that were hyper-focused on digital media. Mekanism became a master of agility. While larger agencies were still relying on traditional strategies, Mekanism was churning out campaigns that got people talking. And that, my friends, is the difference between a company that just exists and one that innovates. By focusing solely on viral marketing, they positioned themselves as specialists, and that gave them a kind of authority that the big guys couldn't replicate. But here's the rub. While their choice to stay niche worked wonders for their reputation and their creativity, it didn't mean they didn't face tough times. There were slow periods where the viral content just wasn't taking off. They had to weather the storm. But they kept going. And over time, those risks paid off. By sticking to what they did best, they carved out a niche that gave them staying power. And let's not forget, they were able to make viral marketing a legitimate and respected strategy. In a world where traditional ads still dominated, they turned digital-first campaigns into something that even the most conservative brands took seriously. Mekanism wasn't just creating videos for fun, they were building a movement. So, what about their financials? Well, while Mekanism's choice to stay focused on viral content may have felt risky in the short term, it ended up being a smart, long-term move. They didn't get bogged down in the overhead costs and lengthy timelines of traditional advertising. They didn't need to hire hundreds of people to produce a single TV ad. Instead, they kept it lean, kept it innovative, and kept delivering high-impact content. Over time, their revenue grew, and they became known as one of the most successful agencies in the digital space. And what about those big clients? They came around. Sure, they had to stick to their guns and prove themselves, but as more and more brands saw the effectiveness of viral campaigns, they turned to Mekanism for their expertise. So here's the takeaway from Mekanism's journey. Sometimes it's not about jumping on the biggest, shiniest opportunity. Sometimes it's about doubling down on what you know and doing it better than anyone else. Mekanism showed us that staying niche can sometimes be the smartest move you can make, especially when you're at the forefront of something new. And even though they passed on expanding into traditional advertising, they didn't miss the opportunity to dominate the digital space. Alright, so to wrap it all up, Mekanism's journey is a masterclass in entrepreneurship. They had the opportunity to take the easy route, to expand into a traditional ad agency and try to compete with the big guys, but instead, they dug in and focused on mastering one thing: viral marketing. And let's be clear, This wasn't the easy choice. It meant turning away big opportunities, and it required real grit and vision. But it paid off. Mekanism didn't just ride the wave of viral marketing, they created the wave. By doubling down on their niche, they built a reputation as the go-to company for digital word-of-mouth driven advertising. They got more creative, they got smarter, and they took risks, the right risks. And guess what? The brands and clients came, because when you get it right, people take notice. If there's one big takeaway from Mekanism's story, it's this. Sometimes the best thing you can do is stay true to what you do best and outwork everyone around you. It's not about being the biggest or the most diverse, it's about being the best at what you do. And niche expertise? That's something that can't be replicated by a bigger agency trying to be everything to everyone. Now, Mekanism's story doesn't just apply to ad agencies. It's a lesson for anyone trying to make their mark, whether you're a startup, a small business, or a solo entrepreneur. There's a lot to be said for focusing on your strengths and building a reputation around it. Sure, the shiny new opportunities may seem tempting, but sometimes it's better to own your niche and own it well. So here's the challenge for you, our listeners. Think about your business. Are you trying to do everything, or are you focused on becoming the best at one thing? Take a page from Mekanism's playbook and think about what niche you can dominate. Thanks for tuning in to another episode of the Marketer.co podcast. If you found this episode helpful, don't forget to subscribe to stay updated with more insights on marketing, entrepreneurship, and creative strategy. And hey, if you want to dive even deeper into viral marketing or learn more about how Marketer.co can help your business grow through cutting-edge digital marketing solutions, head over to our website or reach out to us directly. We're here to help you take your digital marketing game to the next level. Until next time, remember, stay focused, stay creative, and keep pushing those boundaries. Catch you on the next episode.